It is about knowing what should remain private if you want peace, progress, and dignity. There are 7 things the Stoics believed should never be spoken openly, not because they are shameful, but because they are powerful. Once spoken, they lose their protection. Stay until the end, because learning what not to say will protect your life more than learning what to say ever could. Before naming the first thing, understand this Stoic principle. What is spoken leaves your control forever. Once words leave your mouth, they no longer belong to you. They belong to interpretation, memory, and sometimes misuse. Stoics spoke carefully because they valued control over consequence. Thing number 1, your future plans. The Stoics believed this deeply. Plans grow stronger in silence and weaker in discussion. Most people talk about their goals too early. They announce intentions before discipline has formed. Why is this dangerous? Because talking creates false satisfaction. You feel progress without having earned it. And worse, you invite opinions, doubts, comparisons, and envy before you are ready. Stoics understood something modern psychology confirms. When you speak your plans aloud, your mind receives premature reward. Motivation drops, focus scatters, and the world gains access to something that was meant to grow quietly. Stoic practice. Work in silence. Let results speak. A Stoic does not hide plans out of fear, he protects them out of wisdom. Thing number 2, your weaknesses and inner struggles, to the wrong people. Stoicism does not teach emotional suppression, it teaches discernment. Sharing vulnerability with the wrong audience turns honesty into exposure. Not everyone who listens with care. Some listen to, judge, compare. Store information, use it later. Stoics chose 1 or 2 trusted minds for deep conversation, never the crowd. Why? Because weaknesses shared publicly often become labels. Once labeled, people stop seeing your growth and start seeing your past. A Stoic protects his inner work until strength replaces struggle. Stoic practice. Seek counsel privately, heal quietly, return stronger. Why Stoics guarded these 2. Most your plans represent your direction. Your weaknesses represent your process. If either is exposed too early, outside forces interfere. Advice becomes noise, opinions become pressure, judgment becomes distraction. Stoicism values internal development over external approval. The Stoic shift, important. At this stage, something changes inside you. You stop needing to be seen as ambitious. You stop needing to be understood while you are still becoming. You realize privacy is not secrecy, it is self-respect. Stoic rule to lock in. Speak less about where you are going and where you are hurting. Let time, discipline, and results do the talking. As the Stoics saw it, speech is not neutral. Every sentence you share either strengthens your position or weakens it. Most people weaken themselves without realizing it, not through lies, but through careless honesty. Thing number 3, how much money you have or don't have. Stoics were deeply aware that money changes how people see you, not always consciously, but inevitably. The moment people know your financial situation, their behavior shifts. If you have more, some compare, some envy, some expect favors. If you have less, some judge, some dismiss, some feel superior. Either way, you lose something valuable. Neutral treatment. Stoics believed wealth should be visible only through character, never through numbers. Because numbers invite assumptions, and assumptions distort relationships. Stoic practice, live within your means. Let your conduct speak. Money discussed casually becomes social currency for others. A Stoic keeps it private. Thing number 4, your next move after a setback. After failure, loss, or rejection, people often rush to explain themselves. They announce new plans. They seek reassurance. They try to control the narrative. Stoics did the opposite. They understood that after a setback, silence protects dignity. Why? Because early explanations invite pity, doubt, unwanted advice. Second guessing. Your next move needs space, not commentary. Stoics believed rebuilding is sacred work. Sacred work is done quietly. Stoic practice. Recover in silence. Re-enter with results. A Stoic does not narrate recovery. He demonstrates it. Thing number 5, your opinions about people you still have to deal with. This is one of the most dangerous things to share openly. Words travel, people repeat, they exaggerate, they weaponize. Stoics were never careless with opinions about others, not because they were dishonest, but because they were strategic. Once you speak negatively about someone, you lose flexibility, you create enemies unnecessarily, you reveal emotional reactivity, and worse, your words can return to you at the worst possible moment. Stoic practice. If someone must remain in your life, keep your opinions disciplined, observe silently, adjust distance quietly. Stoicism favors control over confession. Why these three are so important. Money, recovery, and opinions all affect how others position themselves toward you. Once revealed, respect shifts, expectations change, power dynamics adjust. Stoics were not antisocial, they were context-aware. They spoke differently, depending on consequence. The Stoic shift, critical. At this stage, you stop asking, "Can I say this?" You start asking, "What happens if I do?" This single question separates the disciplined mind from the impulsive one. Stoicism trains foresight. Stoic rule to lock in. Not everything true needs to be spoken. Wisdom lies in choosing what remains unsaid. At the highest level of Stoicism, speech becomes deliberate. Not everything you feel needs expression. Not everything you know needs exposure. The last two things Stoics guarded were the most personal and the most dangerous to reveal. Thing number 6, your resentments and grudges. Nothing reveals inner imbalance faster than resentment spoken aloud. When you share grudges openly, you expose three things at once. What hurt you, who controls your emotions, where you are still stuck. Stoics avoided this, not because they felt nothing, but because they refused to let past events dominate their present identity. Resentment, once spoken, becomes a story you keep retelling, and every retelling keeps the wound alive. Why this is dangerous. People who hear your resentments may enjoy your pain, may repeat it as gossip, may see you as emotionally reactive. Worst of all, you train yourself to live in reaction. Stoics believed healing requires silence. Stoic practice, resolve internally, release privately. Forgiveness, in Stoicism, is not for others, it is for freedom. Thing number 7, your final goals and end vision. This is the most misunderstood Stoic rule. Why would Stoics hide their ultimate purpose? Because final goals define identity. Once you announce your end vision, people label you, expectations, attach comparisons begin. Your vision becomes public property before it becomes reality. Stoics believed a life goal should mature in silence, not hidden forever, but protected until it is unshakable. Why this matters most. Your deepest goal is fragile until discipline hardens it. Outside voices distort it. Outside opinions weaken it. Stoics valued internal alignment over external validation. They preferred to be misunderstood rather than interrupted. Stoic practice. Let your life direction reveal itself through choices, not declarations. The final Stoic understanding. These 7 things are not shameful, they are powerful. Powerful things require protection. Stoicism is not about silence for silence's sake. It is about owning your inner world. You speak when speech serves virtue. You stay silent when silence preserves strength. That balance is wisdom. Final Stoic rules. Lock these in. Guard plans until they are reality. Share struggles only with the wise. Keep money and recovery private. Control opinions, especially about people nearby. Heal resentments internally. Protect your final vision until it is firm. This is how Stoics stayed steady in a noisy world. Final Stoic closing. You do not need to narrate your life to live it well. You do not need to explain your path to walk it with honor. According to the Stoics, a quiet life guided by reason is stronger than a loud life guided by validation. Speak less, live deliberately, protect what matters.